Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I am your host, Kelly Meehan, a citizen of the universe and a passage keeper and mentor for our new Earth children. I believe we are entering into a new psychic structure of our reality, and it is meant to embody deeper trust and ways into solid self-love and fearless integrity. Our new world energy of spirit babies needs us to consciously create within conception, trust pregnancy, and have freedom to birth and parent from innate wisdom. This is Spirit Baby Radio. Welcome, May 2026. Spirit Baby Stories from Conception to Motherhood. The New Earth children of today, a real Spirit Baby Stories, real connection, and real truth. Spirit Baby Stories is about sharing real stories from real people that are on a journey into parenthood, or have been. These individuals and couples answered my call to share their heart's stories. I hope it brings you insights, deep thinking, and confidence that you are not crazy, but having real experiences of the psychic side of life. I am honored to welcome special guest Sarah. I consider her an expert in motherhood and heart. Thank you, Sarah, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm really excited to hear, what has been your journey and bringing your Earth children here. And she has two children. You said a son and a daughter.
That's right. My son just turned 3 and my daughter is 6.5 months now.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
tell us what was your curiosity? I put the call out and you were like a little nervous, like you kind of want to share your story and tell us about your story. How, you want us to your fertility story.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I did feel a bit nervous because I haven't actually shared this story before, and certainly not the whole story. I've shared bits and pieces here and there, but I there were a lot of stories that I listened to on my fertility journey, and even in motherhood now, and leading up to birth and everything. And I was really grateful to those women for being brave and sharing what their experience was, because it really helped me to trust myself in that time. So that's why I answered the call, because I hope that my story can help someone in their situation trust themselves and keep going.
I love that. Thank you for being here and doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah, thank you. I'll start with my son who just turned 3. He was my greatest healer. And
Mm.
um so from the beginning, in 2018 I had a miscarriage, and I went through a bit of quite a big grieving process after that, and did some healing and started working on my fertility and physical health, so working with a naturopath and integrative GP and looking at it from that angle. And nothing was really happening, or something was trying to happen but couldn't. Like there were a couple of possible pregnancies that didn't go anywhere, and yeah, just it was like something was trying to happen but just wasn't. And then it was just one day I just had this feeling like I just knew there was a baby in my field, and I don't know how to describe it but any other way, that was just this knowing, like there's this baby here. um and then that kind of me into the more spiritual side of fertility. So I started reading more about spiritual fertility, and I found a book called Spiritual Fertility, and that introduced me to the concept of spirit babies. And she was talking about how they help us to heal, like healing our own wounds and things like this. And that's how I found you as well, Kelly. I was doing some more research into spirit baby world, and I started following you, and I was like, okay, so this is a thing. um, and yes, I just kept that feeling in my mind. It really helped me keep the faith, that because everything that was happening, which was nothing, right? Like I wasn't getting pregnant, um, but this baby was still there. So then I was inspired by what I was reading, and I started to communicate with this baby. And I just had this sense that it was male too. And then it was those communications that just kind of led the connection a bit stronger. Um, and I started to feel more certain about it. And at the same time, I was going through a bit of, I was doing my own deep healing work. So I was working with a sort of spiritual teacher, therapist, and we were doing a lot of trauma release and sort of rewiring my nervous system and things like
Mm.
this. And I could feel the baby there. I knew he was there, but it was still really hard to keep the faith a lot of the time because this is taking years now, right? And nothing's happening. And so I'm starting to wonder, like, is this baby ever coming? Like, is there something wrong with me? Um, so it was a real I can look back now that he's here, right? I can look back and sort of talk about it. But at the time it was really quite difficult.
How many years when you were like, hey, let's have a baby? How many years did you feel like you were on before you actually conceived? And not just him, but like
Um,
before that, but like you said, you had a birth loss. So,
yeah, yeah. So the birth loss was in 2018, and then I got pregnant in 2022 with my son. So yeah,
okay, there we
quite a
could
long
do the
time.
math. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you were
yeah.
just like you said, it was hard to know and to hold that. And I want to talk about you felt your son in the field. I love how you said that. It's like, let's explain that a little more. I know it's hard to put into words, but if you can just take us back a little bit and kind of sit with like this knowing that it was male and what any other experiences that you experienced.
Yeah, sure. So I was sitting at the computer, not doing anything special, just working. And then I just had this knowing, like, oh, there's a baby here. And it was just kind of this deep knowing. And it was out of the blue, out of nowhere. Um, so then my next thought was, of course, you're crazy. um, you're hallucinating, you're imagining it. But the feeling didn't go away. It was like this really strong knowing. And so then I started to find out more and realized, oh, actually, there are spirit babies, and I'm not the only one experiencing this.
And you were
Mm.
saying earlier about the natural path. You told them about your connection with baby, or I don't know what you were going to say at that point.
Oh, yes, the naturopath I was working with, I just said to her, I know, I was kind of finishing up with her because I didn't think there was much more for us to do. And when I was finishing up, I said, I know there's a baby here, and I'm going to go down this other path now and see where that leads.
And
Mm.
you're like, I'm calling them in. I don't know where they are, but they're going to come.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know there's a baby here and they want to come through. And that was kind of the catalyst. The more I trusted in that, the more messages I started
Yeah.
getting. Yeah. So I do remember there was a time because we're talking about a 5 year period, right? So I can't remember exactly when, but during the fertility time, I was doing, as I said, my own sort of deep healing work, and I was doing some meditating as part of that. And I had this vision. It was a boy and a girl, and it was these are your children. I'm getting goosebumps. But yeah, so I saw it was so clear. It was so like this, and I also felt this deep love, and I just knew it was them.
I love that. I think
Mm.
I feel like in your story, you're not alone, right? And maybe you don't know that. I know for me, it's easy to say that because I listen to a lot of stories and connect with a lot of people. But it's like you were explaining just that, like, of course you're not crazy. But also it's like, the trust piece is really big, what you said. And can we crack that open and like look at it deeper? Like if you can just kind of what does trust even mean for you? And how could you really trust this connection? What gave you some sense of like, okay, this is more real than I realized, or did that never come?
Um, yeah, honestly, I didn't always trust it. Yeah, I didn't always, especially because it went on for, 5 years. I didn't always trust it. But every time I was wavering in my trust, something would happen. Like I
Mm.
remember one day on your Instagram, you were doing an Instagram live and pulling some spirit baby cards, and I asked you to pull one for me. I was there.
I love
And
it.
yeah, yeah, and you pulled one. I think it said uh it was be patient and trust our journey or something along those lines. And or please be patient. I love you very much. It was something around that. And yeah, that was like, oh, that was for me. That
Oh,
was baby.
I
Yeah.
love the subtleness you share because I always often feel like with spirit baby connections where people are looking for something really big to happen. And just that softness of trust that you got to receive, I think is very powerful. And the slowdown, and yeah, I know, yeah, nobody's asking for a long journey, but you kept, you kept the focus and the path, right? You're like, something's here. I don't know what it is. And you're receiving your children and they're, which is often hard in their own timing, right? Isn't that the hard one? It's like, so let's kind of move forward. So then you're pregnant. Are you in disbelief? Are you scared? Or what happens with your first?
Yeah, I was in disbelief at first. "Oh, I can't believe this after all this time, after all this waiting, all this communicating, all this healing. I was at by this point I was writing letters to the baby, and um I had actually written a letter saying it's okay if you don't come. I don't know if you're coming. If you don't, it's okay. I'm at peace with whatever. And it's tempting to kind of I would say to myself, yes, I've let go of this throughout the journey, but I hadn't really. I was just trying to tell myself I had. But that letter I'd had actually completely I was at peace.
Hmm.
Um and then I did get pregnant.
Is this the surrender that people
Yeah.
talk about, right? The surrender? Can
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
the trust and the surrender are the hardest parts, right?
Oh, so hard.
Because
So
even when we
hard.
talk about it, I
Yeah.
know the frequency of trust is like literally in this energetic experience I feel like that we have, as well as surrender, because I feel like our minds are like always trying to figure out the next step, which is really hard on a fertility journey, right? And can you even,
Hmm.
how did you get through those moments where you felt like your brain was jumping around going, well, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that, maybe I should do this, like what made you go, I'm just gonna write this letter and like what, how did you get there?
I think it was the work I was doing at the time. So I was doing some quite deep embodiment work with some movement practices, and um, so I had the practices to go to when my mind was going crazy like that. Yeah, so then I was able to feel I was able to essentially move that excessive energy, excessive mental energy, and feel what the next step is, what the next right step was.
Oh, I like that. It's
Mm,
the
mm.
excessive mental energy. I mean, that's the battle, right? It's like that's it. And then the fear, and plus you had loss. And then I think the
Yes.
hardest thing is once you have loss, it changes the whole idea of what's coming next because there's the fear, there's the grief, but then there's the hope, trust, right? And having faith on some level going. And then, but when you go for years, I know that could be like so like, oh my gosh, like years are going by after loss. That really scares women. That scares mothers. What can you say to the mother that's tuning in? Like, I had a miscarriage a year or two ago, and I just don't feel like I can become pregnant. Like, what gave you a sense of like love to yourself in that time that you can share?
So it's interesting. I didn't really realize how much that fear of loss was hindering my progress because I was so scared of. loss that I was in some way scared to conceive because was
Mm,
scared of having another loss.
yeah.
And it wasn't, there was one point where I realized that. And I said to myself, okay, well, I just have to face it. Either I stay here and be scared of the loss, or I try knowing that the loss might happen, but still try anyway. And that's what I chose to do.
And what about interventions? We're in such an intervention consciousness. Like, was that any persuasive? Like, are you like, oh, maybe I should do IUI, IVF, art, or any other things? Did that cross your mind, or what was that for you?
It definitely did cross my mind, on and off. It, to be honest, I'm not really sure why I never pursued it. I just didn't. But interestingly, when we were getting to this, when it was getting close to the time when I actually fell pregnant, I did start looking into it more. And this was after I'd sort of said, okay, I'm just gonna try everything, knowing that I still might lose the baby. I'm gonna try anyway. Um, and I did contact a fertility place and got a referral. But as it turns out, I got pregnant before the first appointment. So
You're
yeah,
like, okay, universe. I actually
yep.
worked with a woman a long time ago, and amazing woman, and she was in another country. She was in England, and then she moved to California, and then I saw her in person. And I literally went with her to this clinic possibility, and they were doing like a fertility event. And I was pregnant at the time, which I thought was interesting. I'm literally sitting at this table with men and women that are like begging to have babies, and I'm like all pregnant, thinking, should I even be here? And in this woman's like, she's like, well, maybe I should do IVF. She had second infertility, they were saying, and but nobody knew. And she was in communication, doing her thing. And then she was like going into, yeah, to go. She actually went to the clinic and they said she was pregnant. So I was like, ooh, what do we do now? And I ended up doing her blessing way, by the way, which is like a whole other, yeah. Because she came in person and I was like, well, yeah, we did this whole beautiful ceremony. So now her daughter is way older, probably, my gosh, I don't even know. Earthside. And it's just interesting. Like, I do feel like it's not in your consciousness. It's not in your consciousness. Like you're like, oh, well, maybe it is. And I do feel like when we intervene or move into different quadrants or frequencies, we're all into that energy or not. And so I
Mhm.
understand what you're saying. Like I conceived in a time was so long ago. I think there's more emphasis and pressure actually to do intervention than there was when I was into it. When I was opening my energy to receive pregnancy, I didn't really think about it either. So I understand what
Mm.
you're saying. Like, it's just not there. And the same thing with
Yes,
my births. I did the
yes,
same things with my birth. People were like, "How do you not get an epidural?" But I had a home birth hospital transfer, but I had a home birth second. There is no epidurals in a home birth, is what I told my mind. And yeah, I'm like everybody else. I don't want to have pain, but I realize in childbirth there is pain, and
yes.
pleasure and a lot of other stuff. And so for me, it's like I do feel like the point I'm bringing up is that I feel like we can shift where our energy goes, where our consciousness wants to go. And I blanked out and for that birthing experience of like that's not an option, it's not there because I just didn't think it was that important for me. And so when you share that, I think of like the almost like, yeah, you're just yeah, and I'm curious. I asked you that because in 2026, there's such a big energy. As you see, I don't know if you know that, there's so much energy around. You're not pregnant. It's been 24 hours. Like, should we
Yeah,
get things
yeah,
going? Should we poke around? And so I appreciate hearing that
yes.
your honest story in that. And so you birth your son. He's here. You're happy. And then somebody else comes knocking on the spirit door. Tell us about that.
Yes, yes. So she was an entirely different experience altogether.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'll just mention with my son, with his birth, I actually had a home birth hospital transfer for him too. Um, yeah, and it was actually a very long and traumatic birth. He ended up being cesarean, which was,
Oh,
of course, the complete opposite of what I wanted. And I had a really difficult recovery, and I left feeling very confused. And then I could still feel this girl in my field, but I was thinking, I don't know if I need to do that again
oh
or if I
yes.
can do that again.
I
Yeah.
feel you.
And yeah, because it had been such a rough time. I was thinking, okay, I can feel you here, but I don't know if I'm up for this.
I think we
Um,
had the same story.
oh, really?
Well, I had a home
Wow.
birth transfer, but I didn't have a cesarean. It's a long story, but I actually talked them out of it. Is that
Oh,
wild?
did
Because
you?
I didn't need one. See,
Wow.
that's what that
Wow.
I gotta really feature that story on a platform because it is wild. Like it's unreal. But I was very traumatized by my experience. I had second degree tearing that was very, you know, intense, and I felt very postpartum depression. I felt very traumatized, and I too was like, wait a minute, there's another baby. Like I was like, let me take a break for a little bit. Let me like see where I am. But tell me, so what happened? Was she in communication with you? Did you feel it? I know you shared about that dream, but what else came through in that?
Yeah, I could feel her there, and I just I parked it for a bit because I was, going through postpartum and didn't have space for anything else. But I knew she was still there. And then it was around early 2025. I was actually driving my son around in the car. He was asleep, and suddenly I had this sorry sort of wave of images wash over me of this really chilled out girl at the beach, just crawling around. Um, yeah, just super chill girl. And what I didn't realize at the time was that I was actually pregnant at
Oh,
that time.
look how intuitive you are, and your
Yeah.
psychic energy is so strong. I want to say
Yeah. Yeah.
you shared two things. I forgot how you said it before, but these two communication came to you without you sitting in meditation. It just came to you. I wanna like say that
Yes.
because I want people to sit in reflection with that. And I've shared when my second son told me he was a part of me. I was cooking broccoli. I'm not kidding. And or I'm vacuuming. I've had it like, and why I think this is good is because we shut ourselves, like you're not thinking, you're literally communicating with energy and your openness to hear that, like, oh, what's this connection or this feeling is very valuable. Is that something you were aware of? Did you know that you can be in communication without meditation all the time?
Um, I suppose that's just how I've always felt it. So I hadn't
Interesting.
really thought about it. Yeah,
So she
yeah.
comes and says, I'm here. And then you take a pregnancy test, right?
Well, not straight away.
Okay.
I just it it's funny to think of it now, but at the time I just didn't even have it in my mind that I could be pregnant. But I thought she's coming, but especially because my first journey had been so long, I was just kind of assuming I would be waiting a while, so I had more time. And so it just wasn't even in my mind. But then I started having all these stomach issues like nausea and reflux. And again, it just didn't, I didn't think of it. But then I thought, well, I better do a pregnancy test before I go to the doctor about this because they will ask me to do one. And my periods had not come either, but it was pretty soon after I'd finished breastfeeding, so they weren't regular yet. So I sort of explained that away. And but anyway, the pregnancy test was positive.
You're like, oh boy, those are dark lines.
Yeah, yeah. I was like,
I know
okay,
what you, it's,
there's no denying that.
yeah, it's true what you say. Like I thought this was wild. With my firstborn, I didn't get a cycle back until almost he was 3 years old. For me, like my body,
All
I think
right.
was like, we are not doing that. So I did not have a cycle for like over 2 years. It was the weirdest feeling. Because then I was
Yeah.
like, well, that's like I didn't have a cycle for 3 years if you think about it, with pregnancy included.
Yeah.
But it was different
Yep.
with my second. It came back quicker, but that makes sense. You're like, I don't know, like I'm nursing. So then
Yep.
what is that moment you're like you tried so hard and then now you're like, okay, now there's another being. Did you instantly know it was a girl or were you questioning it or were you even scared? Like, can this be a birth loss?
I I knew it was a girl straight away. I knew it was her. And I wasn't scared of loss because she had obviously decided that now is her time. Yeah. So it was
Wow.
so different. Yeah.
And any other
Mm.
things? Did you have dreams or other feelings or sensations about her?
Um, I just had this strong sense of I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
She like it was this really strong like I am coming. Um, and I felt fear, but I was fearful of having to go through birth again and what and postpartum again because it had been so difficult. So that was where the fear was coming from. And interestingly, she helped me heal a lot of that fear. She helped me bring people in who could help. Like I worked with a doula who helped me unpack my son's birth, and so I was clear on what actually happened because I didn't know up until that
Yeah.
point. Um, and I decided that we were going to try for home birth again. And I did some courses, sort of sovereign birth type meditations and things like this just to prepare myself and she it's funny, there was one meditation where the the um the invitation was to ask the baby a question, how do you want to be born? And I just saw this big picture of a vagina and I was like, okay,
Let's do it.
I get it.
Look at that's such a clear
Mm.
clairvoyance, clear sentience that you have. I'm telling you, your story is mirroring my story because I felt like, oh my gosh, I had a home birth with the second, like at home. And like you think about that when you've had the trauma and you're like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen again? Even though they're their own sovereign soul, they have their own mission. And it's really hard to trust that. Like, that's why I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is the same thing that happened to me because I too felt like this is the way. It's at home. And I don't know what happened that
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time. Like, I don't know
yeah,
what that
yeah,
was. Um,
yeah,
and I found the doulas and the midwife I had were like my therapists, really, to help you work through. And
yeah, I
I
felt like that
too
too. Yeah,
also, one of the apprentices at the first birth, two of the apprentices who are now like official midwives, that was so long ago, I asked them both what happened and they said everything was fine and I was okay. Like they were students, so they didn't have a voice, which is interesting because what the one woman, it was Debbie, she gave me permission in my heart that made me, it literally felt like the room, like something zapped inside me and made me feel like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I know how to birth. Like, right? Because you think that
yeah,
you have the cesarean or this long
yes,
birth, and you're like, but I too got like this connection with this, like, of course you can. But we have to feel it, It's like, it's hard. It's like,
yeah,
so that too
so
happened to
hard.
me. It was like, and then I did. So then you go in, and then did you home birth her then? How did that?
Yeah, yeah, we did.
You did it.
It's so interesting. So with my son, it was 36-hour marathon to get him out, and with her, it was 5 hours start to finish.
Isn't that
Yeah,
wild? It's
it
the
happened
same
so
thing happened to
quickly.
me. I
Yeah.
swear to you.
Oh, really? Oh,
I think
wow.
it was like 3 days or 2 days. I don't even know, but it's like, how can you contract for this long? But then when I started pushing, I'm a bleeder and I have a
Hmm.
lot of blood before birth, and I guess they get nervous. And I also at the time it's improved, it's low blood platelets, not dangerous. But when you see a lot of blood before baby, everybody's panicking. And so that, and
Yeah,
there was like a mistake made and then I was transferred and everything was fine. There was nothing wrong. But I thought there was
yeah,
must be something wrong because this is what.
yeah.
everything's an emergency when
Yes.
it's really just like, I think there's something about the first births of like the initiation and the lineage that's
Hmm.
being cleared through. Because I too, with my second, I think it was like 5 hours of labor, so honestly.
Wow.
And I told them like, hey, was I pushing for like hours? And they said, actually, Kelly, you pushed for like 20 minutes. I'm like, are you sure? Because I felt like that was like at least an hour. You know, when you feel
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
waves of contractions and you feel the bear down and you're like, is it coming?
Yeah.
You're like, do I work with
Yeah.
that? Like, I don't know how these women do it. Like,
Yes.
I'm like, they're like,
Oh,
work with the contraction. I was like, I don't think my babies want to slip out of me. That's just me.
yeah.
Some
Oh,
people,
yeah.
they,
Yeah. Yeah. I remember thinking, like, how do women do this all the time?
well, that's what my husband said. He actually looked at me and said, this is so incredible because he caught our son, our second son. And he said, he
Mhm.
honestly, I'll never forget this. He says, if men had babies, there'd be no babies. There'd be no people. He goes, I can't
Yeah.
believe you did that. Like, and that's what you want to
Yeah.
hear from a man, from a
Yes.
partner that's like,
Yes.
because it really brought him into like, he's like, he actually said to me, he's like, men don't have that good of a threshold of pain. He's like, I don't know. But I was like, that stuck with my heart because it is hard work what we're doing and creating and literally being
Hmm.
this vessel for beautiful life. And
Yes.
so then you have your daughter and what kind of healing would you say she brought? Not that you were holding her to heal you, but your children bring you healing. So how did
Mm.
it change the first birth? Like what is that? Can you tell us what that was like?
Yeah, it really did. It So during the pregnancy, I did a lot of ceremonial type things, and I did a pregnancy photo shoot, and I had a mother blessing. Like it was all very, very ritual, and um, a lot of women involved as well. There were a lot of women around me and supporting me, and so that was healing in itself, just
Mm,
being held like that. And the way she helped me heal was by just being so determined that that she just appeared and was like, now is my time.
mm,
you know my mind thinks I have to have all these things lined up. I have to be taking my temperature, we have to have sex at the right time, I have to be taking these herbs and supplements, and I have to manage my stress levels, and all these things. That was just blown away, right? Because she just came when I was not
wow.
even when it wasn't even on the radar, and I was doing none of that stuff, and I was still healing from the first birth.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it really changed my perception of what my body's capable of. And then when I did actually birth her, it was just this like, oh my gosh, I can do it.
Oh, I
My
love
body can do
that.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to hear these stories. I know that sometimes it goes in other directions, and I think we need to hear all the stories, not just the celebrations, but it is a big deal because you felt that first birth. Like, I don't even know what that's like. It's like, for your baby to like come out and you're not, this is different. And then now you're like, oh, this is the feeling, this is the connection. And now they're both here. And you know what I'm going to say next? Because before we got on the call, I was like, so we're going to talk about your three children. And what did you say?
Yeah. I said I have to.
I was like, oopsie. I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest. Like when in the email, I just felt like oh, she can talk about her three kids. She can talk about maybe, and I just got hooked in there. And so, what is the next plan? I know you're just like you got the little baby. So, are you open, or are you thinking about that, or is it just like let's see what happens?
For me, I don't feel any more babies. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of practical reasons for us to not have more kids as well. But it's just I just don't feel anymore. I feel like they were the two that wanted to come through
Mm.
me, and they're here, and our next chapter is raising them.
Aw.
That's where I'm at.
And then
Yeah.
we're gonna say, be careful.
Mm. Yeah, I know.
I love this. You're trusting, you're surrendering,
Yeah.
and what a wild story. Such different birth experiences too. And that's their foundation. Like that's in their story, that's in their body. And so
Mm.
we're going to reverse back for a moment. When you were in communication, do you see that personality here, Earthside? What can you say about that?
Yes. Yes, definitely. So with my son, right, and we were communicating for years, and it's like, is he coming? Is he not? He's still like that.
Oh,
He's like, am I going? Am I not? And
yeah.
he's quite hesitant to try things and to let go of the safety net. Whereas my daughter, she's of course very young still, but she's just straight into everything.
Wow.
She sees
Yeah.
something, she crawls over to it. She's she's onto it. Yeah, it's very interesting.
That's so awesome. Well, we're coming to the
Mm.
end here, and I'd love for you to share any final, just really supportive love messages for those that are like in the same situation as you were. Like, when do they feel, they may feel like I'm ready to give up, or do I move forward? Like, what final, can you offer?
Mm. I think what I want to say is I'll say what I probably would have said to myself then, and that's your journey is unique to you and your babies. There is there is a lot going on that we cannot know about, and divine timing has its own order that our brains just can't comprehend. So what I would say is trust in what you feel and keep the communication open and just focus on doing the next true thing. Mm.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to share my story. Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Mm.
And I want to thank everybody for joining episode 243, May 2026, Spirit Baby Stories from Conception to Motherhood. Thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio with your host, me, Kelly Meehan. Please join my community and stay in touch with monthly energy rants, Spirit Baby poetry, and get access to Spirit Baby 101 with tips and practices at my newsletter at newearthchildren.com. And join me on Instagram with lives at Spirit Baby Medium, and join the Mighty Networks, the Spirit Baby Collective membership, and Motherhood to Mediumship. Remember, you are the heart that holds communication, and it is your time to connect. Come share in the great shift of your mind and the true spirit of your heart with Spirit Baby Communication.